Dark clouds covered the sky as Myra drove her old small car along a narrow road that cut through the countryside. The wind was strong and kept shaking the car from side to side. Heavy rain hit the windshield, making it hard to see anything ahead. Myra held the wheel tight and kept her eyes on the road with full focus. Her young son Rion sat in the back seat with his small travel bag on his lap. He moved closer to the window and watched the trees bend in the strong wind. Myra was a single mom who had been struggling for the past few weeks. She had recently lost her job when the shop she worked at closed. She had been searching daily for a new job, but she had not found any good chance yet. Her savings were getting low. She needed a safe place where she and Rian could stay until she found work and made a proper plan. Then she remembered an old letter from her late aunt. The letter said that Myra had inherited a large mansion called Hillcrest House. The letter said the house was old and needed repair, but it belonged to her now. Myra had never visited it and had not even known her aunt owned such a place. The storm grew stronger. The sky looked as if it might break open at any second. Rian spoke softly. "Mom, are we near the place?" Myra nodded even though she was not completely sure. Her phone kept losing signal because of the storm. The map was not loading the road clearly anymore. She kept driving slowly until she saw a broken wooden sign beside the path. Most letters were faded, but she could still read the words Hillcrest House. That was one thing she was looking for. She turned the car onto the narrow path behind the sign. Tall trees surrounded the path and formed a dark tunnel above them. Branches scraped the sides of the car as she drove up a small hill dot at the top of the hill. The mansion came into view. Myra stopped the car for a moment and stared. The house was huge, with stone walls, tall windows, and a wide entrance. Ivy covered most of the front. Several roof tiles were missing. The gate in front was partly open as if someone had left it that way long ago. Lightning flashed across the sky and lit the mansion for a brief second. The sudden light made the house look even older and more mysterious. Myra took a deep breath and said in a steady voice, "We are here, Rian." We reached the mansion at last. Rian looked at the house with wide eyes. He trusted his mum, but he looked nervous. The storm made the place look even scarier. Myra parked the car near the steps and both of them ran toward the door to escape the heavy rain. The wooden door was large and heavy. When Myra pushed it, it opened with a loud creak that echoed through the silent space. The inside was dark and cold. They stepped into a long hallway with wooden floors covered in thick dust. Old furniture stood under white sheets. The air smelled like old wood that had been shut for a long time. The only sound inside the house came from the storm outside and their own footsteps. Rian held Myra's arm and whispered, "This place feels strange." Myra turned on the flashlight on her phone. The beam of light cut through the darkness a little. "I know it feels strange," she said in a calm tone, "but it is only old. It has been empty for many years. We just need shelter for tonight. After the storm, we will clean a few rooms and see what we can use." She searched for a light switch on the side wall. She found one and pressed it. The lights flickered weakly at first, then slowly turned on. The yellow light spread through the hallway, revealing old paintings on the walls. The paintings were faded, and the people in them had old styles of clothing. A wide staircase stood in the center of the hallway leading up to the upper floor. The mansion had many doors on both sides, each leading into different rooms. Myra and Rian began exploring the ground floor. There was a dining room with a long table still set with dusty plates. There was a kitchen that looked old but strong. Iron pans hung from hooks near a wide window. There was a library filled with tall shelves and many books covered in dust. Rian reached out and ran his finger across one shelf, leaving a clear line. He smiled a little and said, "There are so many books here." Myra nodded. "Yes, your aunt must have liked reading." She wondered again why her aunt never told her about this place. They had not been extremely close, but they had exchanged letters sometimes. None of the letters had mentioned a mansion or any land like this. It felt strange that such a big place had been kept a secret. They found a small guest room near the hallway. The room had 2 chairs, a small bed, and an old wooden chest. Myra opened the chest and found blankets inside. The blankets were dusty but still usable. Myra said, "We will stay in this room for now. It is close to the hallway and the door. We do not need to go upstairs." Tonight Rian sat on the bed and looked out the window. Rain hit the glass very hard. The trees outside moved roughly in the wind. He stepped away from the window and said, "Mom, the storm is getting stronger." Myra stood beside him and nodded. "I can see that. But this house is strong. It has been standing here for many years. We are safe inside. Do not worry." She walked back into the hallway to see if she could find candles or a lantern. As she walked, she noticed something she had missed earlier. At the far end of the hallway there was a narrow door. The wood on this door was darker than the others, and the handle looked rusty. Something about the door felt different. Myra felt a small cold breeze coming from its direction. She walked slowly toward the door. She raised her hand and touched the handle. It was cold. She tried to turn it, but the door did not move. She pushed a little harder. It was locked. She stepped back and stared at it. Why would there be a locked room in an empty house? Why would her aunt lock it and not mention it in the letter before? She could think further. Rian called her from the guest room. "Mom, come back, I feel scared." Myra turned away from the locked door and went back to him at once. She hugged him and said, "Everything is fine. I just saw a door at the end of the hallway." "It is locked. We will look at it later. For now we should rest." They lay on the blankets. Thunder shook the windows again. The lights flickered many times, then suddenly turned off. The house became dark again. Only the sound of the storm filled the silence. Rian held Myra's arm tightly and said, "I do not like this storm." Myra stroked his hair gently. "I know. Try to sleep. The house will protect us." But Myra could not sleep. Her mind kept thinking about the locked door. Something about it felt wrong. She felt as if her aunt had hidden something behind that door. Something she did not want anyone to see. Then a loud thud echoed through the hallway. Myra sat up fast. Rian woke with fear and whispered, "What was that?" Myra listened carefully. The storm was loud, but the thud had come from inside the mansion, not outside. She stood up with her phone in hand and turned on the flashlight. She walked to the hallway entrance and looked around. The sound came again, softer, but clear. This time, she knew the direction. It came from the locked door at the end of the hallway. Rian grabbed her hand. "Mom, something is in this house." Myra did not answer. Her heart beat fast. She stepped back into the room and closed the door firmly. She sat beside Rian and held him close. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, something behind the locked door had just woken up. Myra tried to calm herself as the storm continued to shake the old mansion. The wind hit the windows, and rain splashed against the walls. Every flash of lightning made the house look even larger and more mysterious. She held Rian close. His small hands clutched her sweater, and his eyes were wide with fear. "I am here, Rian," Myra said softly. "Nothing can hurt us. The house is strong. It has stood for many years. We are safe." Rian nodded slowly but did not speak. His small body trembled. Myra noticed how the storm had a strange sound, almost like it was speaking to the mansion itself. She shivered and decided they could not stay awake all night worrying. She took a deep breath and said, "Let's try to rest. Tomorrow, we will explore more, but only when the sun is out." They tried to sleep, but the wind kept hitting the windows. Myra's mind wandered to the locked door. She wondered why her aunt had kept it closed for so long. What could be inside a room that no one should enter? She thought about the letters her aunt had sent over the years. None mentioned this house or a hidden room. It was as if her aunt had wanted to keep a secret that even Myra did not know about. The hours passed slowly. Every sound of the storm made Rian wake up again. Myra tried to soothe him. She whispered stories about their old home in the city and happy memories. Slowly, Rian's breathing became regular. Myra hoped they would both finally sleep. Morning came, but the storm did not stop. Rain still poured heavily, and strong wind bent the trees outside. Myra decided they could not wait any longer. They needed food and a plan. She got up and walked to the kitchen. The old pans hung on the wall like ghosts of the past. Dust covered the counters. She cleaned a small space, found some old plates, and served the bread and fruit she had in her bag. Rian ate quickly, still nervous but comforted by the familiar taste of food. After breakfast, Myra told Rian, "We need to explore more today. The house is big, and I want to make sure it is safe for us. Will you help me?" Rian nodded. "Yes, Mom," he said with a small smile. They began by exploring the ground floor again. Myra checked each room carefully. The library held many books, but most were too old to read. The dining room had plates and cups, but all were dusty. Myra noticed strange marks on the floor near the fireplace. Footprints, small and large, led to the hallway. Myra frowned. Could someone have been here recently? Or were these marks left by her aunt long ago? When they reached the hallway, Myra's attention went straight to the locked door. She stared at it for a long time. The door looked older than the others. The wood was dark, and the handle was rusty. She felt a strange pull toward it, as if it wanted her to open it. Rian tugged at her sleeve. "Mom, do we have to check that door? It feels scary." Myra knelt beside him. "I understand, Rian, it is scary. But sometimes, to understand the past, we must face what is hidden. I think we need to find a way to open it and see what is inside. If we are careful, nothing can hurt us." They looked around for tools to open the door. Myra found an old iron key on a small table near the library. It was covered in dust but looked strong. Her heart beat faster as she approached the door. She inserted the key into the rusty lock. It fit perfectly. She turned it slowly. The lock clicked, and the door creaked open. The air that came out was cold and damp. A musty smell filled the hallway. Myra shined her flashlight inside the dark room. The light revealed a narrow staircase going down into the basement. The walls were stone wet in places, and covered in moss. Myra took a deep breath. "Rian, stay close to me. We will go slowly. Nothing can hurt us if we are careful." Rian nodded, holding her hand tightly. Together, they stepped down the first wooden step. The staircase was steep, and the boards creaked under their weight. Myra went slowly, watching every step. The basement was large and dark. The walls were lined with old shelves, crates, and boxes. It felt like the place had not been touched for many years. As they explored, Myra noticed an old desk in the corner. Papers were scattered on top. She picked them up carefully. They were letters, journals, and old photographs. Myra's eyes widened as she read the first few lines. The letters were written by her aunt, and they spoke of a secret she had kept for decades. Rian asked, "Mom, what do they say?" Myra sat on the floor with the papers. It seems my aunt was protecting something very important. She could not tell anyone, not even me. She wrote that the secret had to be safe from people who might take it or use it for harm. She also wrote that it was dangerous if discovered by the wrong person. Rian's eyes widened. Dangerous? Like what kind of danger? Myra did not answer right away. She kept reading. The papers mentioned a hidden chamber beneath the mansion. Myra realized the basement might lead to it. Her heart beat faster. The storm outside seemed distant now, replaced by a different kind of fear. Then Myra noticed a small wooden trapdoor under a large crate. She moved the crate aside. The trapdoor was locked with a small iron latch. Myra carefully opened it. A dark, narrow tunnel appeared. It was cold and smelled of earth and stone. Myra shone her flashlight into the tunnel. The light revealed walls covered in strange symbols carved into the stone. Rian stepped back. "Mom, I do not like this. It feels like the letters said, dangerous." Myra held his hand tightly. "I know it is strange, but we need to see it. We must understand the secret, or we will never feel safe here." With that, they entered the tunnel. It was narrow, and they had to move slowly. Water dripped from the ceiling. The floor was wet and slippery. Myra guided Rian carefully. After several minutes, they reached a large stone door at the end of the tunnel. It had heavy carvings on it and a strange symbol in the center. Myra examined the carvings. "These symbols," she said quietly, "they look like they are meant to warn people. My aunt must have wanted to protect what is behind this door." Rian whispered, "Do we open it?" Myra paused. She felt the weight of responsibility. If she opened the door, she could discover something dangerous. But leaving it closed could mean missing the truth her aunt had wanted her to know. She nodded slowly. "Yes, Rian, we have to see, but we will be careful." Myra pushed against the stone door. It did not move at first. She pressed harder. The carvings seemed to shimmer in the flashlight beam. With a loud groan, the door slowly opened, revealing a large hidden chamber. The room was filled with strange objects. Old furniture covered in dust, boxes with locks, and shelves filled with jars of unknown items. In the center, a large wooden chest stood with carvings similar to the door. Myra approached it carefully. She opened the chest. Inside, she found more letters, journals, and a small wooden box. Myra picked up the box and opened it. Inside were old documents, photographs, and a small key. The key looked old but very strong. Myra read the documents. They described events that her aunt had witnessed many years ago. There were mentions of people trying to steal family treasures and secrets. Myra realized that her aunt had hidden the documents here to protect the family's history. Rian looked around the chamber. "Mom, this is amazing. It is like a secret world." Myra smiled, but felt a chill. "Yes, it is amazing, but it is also serious. We have to respect my aunt's wishes. This room is a place of protection, not play. We must keep it safe until we understand everything." The storm outside had slowed down, and sunlight began to filter through the tall windows of the mansion. Myra and Rian slowly walked back through the tunnel and up the basement stairs. Myra closed the trapdoor carefully and locked it again with the iron latch. They returned to the guest room. Rian looked at her with a mix of excitement and fear. "Mom, we found it. We found the secret." "But what does it mean?" Myra hugged him. "It means my aunt trusted us to take care of it. We must be careful, Rian. This house holds history, and history can be powerful. Tomorrow we will explore more, but for now, we must rest and think about what we have found." As they lay on the blankets, Myra thought about the storm, the hidden room, and the letters. She realized that her life had changed in a single night. The mansion was not just a place to hide from a storm. It was a place full of secrets. And now she and Rian were part of those secrets. The wind still shook the windows, but Myra felt a small sense of calm. They had discovered the truth, and now it was their responsibility to protect it. Rian fell asleep, holding her hand. Myra watched him quietly. She knew that their life in the mansion had just begun. The storm outside had passed, but the storm of the past was now in their hands. Myra whispered softly, "We will be safe. Rian, we will face whatever comes together." And for the first time that day, she believed it. The next morning, Myra woke to the sound of birds outside. The storm had passed, leaving the air fresh and cool. Sunlight fell through the tall windows of the mansion, creating patterns on the dusty floor. Rian was still asleep, curled up on the blankets. Myra watched him quietly for a moment, then decided it was time to explore the mansion further. She had questions about the hidden room. Why had her aunt protected it so carefully? What dangers had she feared? Myra knew the answers were in the mansion somewhere, waiting to be discovered. After breakfast, she told Rian, "We are going to explore more rooms today, but we must stay together and be careful." Rian nodded. He was excited but still nervous. He had never seen a house this big. Every room seemed to hold mysteries from the past. They started with the upper floor. The stairs creaked under their weight. Dust rose in the air as they moved slowly. Myra used her phone flashlight to see better. The hallway was lined with doors on both sides. Some were locked, and some opened easily. The first room they entered was a bedroom. Old furniture filled the space. A large wardrobe stood in the corner. Myra opened it carefully. Inside were old clothes folded neatly. Some were her aunt's and some seemed much older. A small box rested on the top shelf. Myra pulled it down and opened it. Inside were letters, photographs, and a small key. She recognized the key as similar to the one from the hidden room. Ryan whispered, "Mom, do you think the same person hid everything?" Myra nodded. "Yes, my aunt must have hidden these things carefully. Everything here was important to her. And now, it is important to us too." They explored another room next. It was a study, with a large desk, shelves full of books, and a globe in the corner. On the desk was a small notebook. Myra opened it. The pages were filled with handwriting, describing events that had happened in the mansion many years ago. There were mentions of visitors who came and left quickly. Some names were crossed out. Myra felt a chill as she read. Her aunt had been keeping track of people who had tried to enter the mansion or learn its secrets. "This house has been protected for a long time," Myra said quietly. "My aunt must have been very careful." Ryan looked around nervously. "Mom, do you think someone could still come?" Myra shook her head. "I do not know, but we must be alert. We cannot take anything for granted. This mansion is more than it seems." As they continued, Myra noticed a small door at the end of the hallway. It was narrow and partially hidden behind a curtain. The door looked older than the others. Myra felt a familiar pull toward it, similar to the locked door in the basement. She tried the handle. It did not open. Ryan asked, "Mom, what is behind that door?" Myra looked at him and said, "I do not know, but it is locked for a reason. We will not open it yet. We must find more information first." They explored the rest of the floor. There were more bedrooms, a large bathroom, and a small sitting room. Each room seemed frozen in time. Dust covered every surface. Old curtains hung from the windows. The air smelled of wood and earth. Myra felt the weight of history in every corner of the mansion. After exploring the upper floor, Myra and Ryan went back downstairs. Myra wanted to check the library again. The library had shelves filled with books from different times. Some books were about history, others about science and art. Myra picked a few books and checked the pages. Many were blank or damaged, but some contained notes in the margins. The notes seemed like clues. Myra felt that her aunt had left them intentionally. Ryan wandered near the fireplace and found a loose brick. He tapped it with his fingers. The brick moved slightly. Myra came over. She pushed it, and a small panel opened in the wall. Behind it was a hidden compartment. Inside were old coins, jewelry, and another small box. Myra opened the box carefully. Inside were letters and a small map. The map showed the mansion and the surrounding land. Some areas were marked with symbols Myra had never seen before. "This is amazing," Ryan said, eyes wide. "It is like a treasure map." Myra nodded. "Yes, but it is more than treasure. It is history. My aunt wanted us to find this. She wanted us to understand and protect it." As they studied the map, Myra noticed one symbol repeated several times. It was similar to the carvings in the hidden room in the basement. She felt a sudden chill. Perhaps the hidden room was only the beginning. There could be other rooms, other secrets. Then Myra heard a sound. It was soft but clear, like footsteps. She froze. Ryan noticed her pause. "Mom, what is it?" Myra listened carefully. The sound came from the hallway outside the library. Slow, careful footsteps, as if someone was moving quietly. Myra's heart beat faster. She whispered, "Stay here, Ryan, do not move." She took a small flashlight and tiptoed toward the hallway. The footsteps stopped. Myra held her breath. She saw a shadow move across the wall. Someone was in the mansion. "Myra," Ryan whispered. She shushed him and continued slowly. The shadow disappeared behind a door. Myra went to the door and looked inside. The room was empty. Nothing moved. Myra felt confused. Had it been her imagination, or had someone really been there? She returned to the library and hugged Ryan. "It is okay. It is safe here. Maybe it was just the wind or the storm yesterday. We must be careful, but we are not alone in this mansion's history." They spent the rest of the day examining the hidden compartment and the map. Myra realized that the mansion was full of secrets, many of which she did not understand yet. She decided to rest that night, but her mind could not stop thinking about the shadow later. Myra went to the guest room to check on Ryan. He was asleep, but she noticed he was holding the small key from the hidden room tightly. Myra smiled. He was brave, even though he was afraid. Myra lay down and thought. The mansion was not just a house, it was a place of history, protection, and mystery. Her aunt had kept secrets that could be dangerous if discovered by the wrong person. Myra understood now that they were part of that responsibility. A soft knock came from the hallway. Myra sat up quickly. She listened. There was no one there. The house was silent. Myra took a deep breath and whispered to herself, "We have to be ready for anything. This house will not reveal all its secrets at once." As she closed her eyes, she felt a strange energy in the mansion. It was like the house was alive. It remembered every event, every person who had walked through its doors. Myra realized that the mansion itself wanted her to understand its history, but it would not make it easy. She thought about the hidden room in the basement, the letters, the map, and the shadow she had seen. Everything was connected. Myra knew that uncovering the mansion's secrets would change their lives forever. Outside, the sun set, casting long shadows through the tall windows. Myra watched the light fade and felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Tomorrow, they would continue exploring, and perhaps they would find answers. But for now, she held Rian close and whispered, "We are together. We will face whatever comes." And in the quiet of the mansion, Myra felt the first stirrings of understanding. The past was calling, and she would have to answer. The next morning, Myra woke to the soft light of the sun filtering through the tall windows of the mansion. The storm was gone, leaving the air fresh and quiet. Rian was already awake, sitting by the window, watching birds move across the garden outside. His small face showed curiosity and excitement, but also a hint of fear from the night before. Myra sat beside him. "Are you ready for another day of exploring?" she asked gently. Rian nodded quickly. "Yes, Mom, I want to see more rooms. I want to understand everything about the mansion." Myra smiled. She admired his bravery. "Okay, but we must stay careful. This mansion has secrets. Some may be surprising, or even dangerous. We will take it slow." After a light breakfast, they set off. Myra decided to focus on the upper floor first. The staircase creaked under their weight as they climbed. The halls were quiet, filled with dust and sunlight. Myra's mind kept returning to the hidden basement room and the map they had discovered. The symbols and letters suggested that there was more than one hidden secret in the mansion. The first door they opened led to a bedroom filled with old furniture. Myra noticed a tall mirror in the corner, its frame carved with intricate patterns. She walked closer and wiped the dust. Suddenly, she noticed something strange. Behind the mirror, the wall looked different. It had a small seam, almost like another hidden door. Rian whispered, "Mom, what is that?" Myra examined it carefully. "It looks like another secret. Your aunt must have hidden this for a reason." She pressed on the seam, and a small panel slid open. Behind it was a narrow passage. Myra shone her flashlight inside. It led to a tiny corridor lined with shelves holding small boxes. The boxes were dusty and each had a label in her aunt's handwriting. Myra opened one carefully. Inside were old coins, jewelry, and photographs of people Myra did not recognize. Another box contained letters, describing visitors to the mansion and strange events that had happened years ago. Myra realized her aunt had kept records of everything in the house, perhaps to protect the family and the mansion itself. Rian's eyes widened. "Mum, she wrote everything, even the people who came here." "Yes," Myra whispered. "She wanted to protect her home, and now it is our responsibility to keep it safe." As they explored further, Myra noticed something strange about the floor. Near the far end of the hallway, the wooden boards looked newer than the rest. She tapped lightly. The sound was hollow. Her heart beat faster. Rian held her hand tightly. "This could be another hidden space," Myra said. "We need to be careful." They lifted one of the boards. Beneath it was a small metal box, locked with a rusty keyhole. Myra checked her bag and found one of the keys they had collected. She inserted it and turned it slowly. The lock clicked. Inside were several old documents, describing events in the town near the mansion decades ago. Some letters spoke of people who wanted to take the mansion or its treasures. Myra realized her aunt had been protecting something extremely valuable, but not necessarily gold or money. It was knowledge, family history, and perhaps even secrets about the people who had once lived in the mansion. Rian looked up at her. "Mom, why would anyone want to take this place?" Myra sighed. "Some people do not understand history. They want what is rare or secret. Your aunt had to protect this mansion because the wrong people could misuse what she knew." After hours of exploring, they returned to the guest room for a short rest. Myra thought about the shadow she had seen yesterday. Someone had been in the mansion before. She was sure of it. Could they have come back? She felt uneasy but did not want to show fear to Rian. After a light meal, Myra decided to explore the basement again. She wanted to examine the hidden chamber more closely. The staircase groaned as they descended. The air in the basement was cooler and smelled of stone and earth. Myra shined her flashlight across the room. The shelves, crates, and old boxes seemed normal, but Myra felt a strange energy in the room. Something was different from yesterday. She approached the large wooden chest. The carvings on it seemed to glow faintly in the light of her flashlight. Myra opened it carefully. Inside, the documents, photographs, and letters were the same, but something caught her eye. A small envelope, sealed with wax, rested at the bottom. The seal had the same symbol as the stone door in the tunnel. Myra opened the envelope and found a letter in her aunt's handwriting. It read, "Whoever finds this room must be brave. This house remembers everything. The secrets are safe, but some may awaken. Trust only what is true. The past is alive. Beware of those who seek the mansion for wrong reasons. Protect it well, for danger is near." Myra felt a chill run through her body. She looked at Rian. "The mansion is not just history. It is alive, Rian. The letters warn us that danger could come at any time." Rian clutched her hand. "Mom, what do we do?" "We stay careful," Myra said. "We explore slowly and learn. But we must also be ready. The mansion has chosen us to protect it." They spent the next hour examining the crates and boxes in the hidden room. Myra found journals that described strange events, lights appearing in empty rooms, noises in the hallways at night, and objects moving without explanation. It seemed the mansion had always been mysterious, even when her aunt lived alone. Myra realized the hidden room had been a place of safety and observation. Her aunt had used it to watch over the mansion and protect its secrets. As the afternoon sunlight faded, Myra decided to go upstairs to check the hidden panel behind the mirror. Rian followed closely. They moved slowly, listening to every sound. Myra tapped the floorboards near the bedroom door. The secret panel behind the mirror led to the narrow corridor with boxes. Everything seemed untouched. Myra noticed that one of the boxes had been moved slightly. She frowned. Could someone else have been here while they were exploring the basement? Rian whispered, "Mom, maybe the shadow was real. Maybe someone is in the mansion now." Myra held his hand tightly. "We do not know yet, but we must stay alert. If someone is here, we will be careful and protect each other." They explored the corridor and returned to the bedroom. Myra carefully closed the secret panel behind the mirror. Then they moved to the staircase leading to the attic. Myra had noticed that the attic door was slightly open. She had not explored it before. The attic was dark and dusty. Old trunks and furniture filled the space. Sunlight came through small windows. Myra walked slowly, careful not to disturb the loose boards. She noticed more documents and photographs inside a large trunk. Some were letters addressed to her aunt from people in the town. Others were journals describing events in the mansion and warnings about strangers. Myra realized that the mansion had been both a home and a fortress, protecting its secrets from outsiders. Suddenly, a loud creak echoed from the hallway below. Myra froze. Rian grabbed her hand. "Mom, someone is coming," he whispered. Myra whispered back, "Stay calm. Let us see first. We will hide if necessary." They moved to a shadowed corner of the attic. Holding their breath, Myra shined her flashlight carefully down the staircase. Nothing moved. The hallway was empty. Myra felt a chill but knew they had to continue. Someone or something had been here, and the mansion was warning them. After a while, they returned to the guest room. Myra locked the doors and windows. She hugged Rian and whispered, "The mansion is testing us. It is showing us its secrets and its dangers. We must be brave and smart." Rian looked up at her, his small eyes full of trust. "Mom, I am ready. I will help you protect the mansion." Myra smiled and stroked his hair. "I know you will. Together we can face anything." As night fell, the mansion seemed quieter but heavier. Myra thought about the letters, the hidden rooms, and the shadow she had seen. She knew their journey was only beginning. The mansion held many secrets, and some of them were awakening. Outside, the wind blew softly. The trees moved gently in the moonlight. Myra felt the mansion around them, alive and aware. She held Rian close and whispered, "We will discover the truth, and we will protect this house, no matter what comes." Inside, the mansion waited silently, ready to reveal more of its dark and hidden past. The morning sunlight fell softly through the tall windows of Hillcrest Mansion. Myra and Rian had slept deeply after the events of the previous day, but the mansion still felt alive with secrets. Myra knew that today they would uncover more, and possibly the most important secret of all. Rian woke first and ran to the window. "Mom, look, the garden is bright, and the birds are singing. It feels safe today." Myra smiled at him. "Yes, Rian, it is safe, but we must be careful. The mansion still has mysteries we do not understand." After breakfast, Myra decided it was time to return to the basement hidden room. She had a feeling that the last documents and letters held the key to understanding the mansion's dark past. Rian agreed, although he looked nervous. They climbed down the creaking stairs into the cool basement. The air smelled of stone and earth, but Myra felt a stronger energy than before, like the house was awake and waiting. She shone her flashlight over the shelves and crates. Everything seemed the same, yet different. The small envelope with the wax seal still lay on top of the large chest. Myra picked it up carefully and opened it. The letter inside was different from the others. It was addressed directly to Myra. Her aunt's handwriting was clear and careful. It read, "Dear Myra, if you are reading this, it means the time has come. The mansion's secret must be revealed to you. I have protected it for decades. The hidden room holds evidence of a truth that some wanted to hide forever. You are the only one who can safeguard it now. Trust your courage and trust Rian. Together, you will face what others could not. Be careful. Some may come to claim what is hidden. Protect the mansion and protect the truth." Myra's heart beat faster. This letter confirmed her fears. The mansion had a truth hidden inside, something dangerous but important. She looked at Rian. "We must find the deepest hidden room. That is where the dark truth is kept. Are you ready?" Rian nodded. "Yes, Mom, I will stay close to you." They went to the tunnel leading from the basement, the same path they had discovered the first day. The narrow walls of stone were cold to the touch. As they walked, Myra noticed symbols carved in the walls that glowed faintly in the sunlight coming from her flashlight. Each symbol seemed to warn them but also guide them. The mansion was alive, and it was showing them the way at the end of the tunnel. The stone door appeared. Myra's hand shook slightly as she pushed it open. The heavy door creaked as it moved. Inside was the hidden chamber, larger than they remembered. Dust hung in the air, and old crates and boxes filled the room. The center of the room held a pedestal with a small locked chest. This was the place her aunt had written about. Mira walked slowly toward the pedestal. She felt a strange energy radiating from the chest. It was as if the mansion itself was testing her courage. Rian followed closely, holding her hand tightly. Mira unlocked the chest using the small key from the letters. Inside, she found bundles of documents, photographs, and a small leather-bound journal. She opened the journal carefully. The pages revealed the dark truth her aunt had warned her about. The mansion had once belonged to a wealthy family who had discovered rare knowledge information about the town, the people, and events that could change history. But some people wanted to use this knowledge for harm. Mira's aunt had hidden all the evidence in the mansion to protect it from those who would misuse it. The documents revealed that people from the town had tried to steal the secrets, even threatening her aunt's life. Mira's eyes widened as she read further. Some letters described people who had disappeared mysteriously. Her aunt had witnessed these events and had carefully recorded everything. The mansion had been a fortress of safety and history, and now Myra understood the full weight of the responsibility she had inherited. Rian whispered, "Mom, it is scary. Why did they do this?" Mira held him close. "Because some people want power. They do not care about truth or history, but we have the responsibility to protect what is right. This mansion is more than walls and furniture. It is the keeper of truth." As Myra examined the documents, a sudden sound echoed through the chamber. Footsteps. Someone was coming. Mira and Rian froze. Mira whispered, "Hide behind the crates. Stay quiet." The footsteps grew louder. Mira held Rian's hand tightly. The mansion seemed to respond to their fear, the air growing colder, almost as if warning the intruder. A shadow appeared in the doorway. Myra held her breath. The figure stepped closer. Myra could now see it clearly. A stranger, tall and cautious, moved through the room, searching. Myra realized immediately that this was someone who wanted the mansion's secrets. Her heart pounded. She had to act quickly to protect the documents and Rian. The stranger approached the pedestal, but Mira had an idea. She grabbed one of the crates and pushed it carefully. The noise startled the intruder. Mira whispered to Rian, "Stay close. We move now." They ran toward the tunnel leading back to the basement. The stranger tried to follow but hesitated at the narrow passage. Myra guided Rian safely to the main basement area. They hid behind a wall, listening to the stranger's frustrated footsteps. The mansion seemed to assist them, making the sounds echo differently and confusing the intruder. Myra realized they could not leave the mansion unguarded. She needed to protect the hidden room and all the documents. She whispered to Rian, "We must lock the secret room again. Then we will hide the documents. The mansion will help us keep them safe." They carefully returned to the hidden chamber. Myra placed the documents and the journal back in the chest. She locked it securely. The mansion felt alive, almost as if approving their decision. Mira and Rian left the room and closed the stone door firmly. They returned to the basement and secured the trapdoor. The footsteps faded. Myra peered around the basement. The mansion was quiet again. She hugged Rian. "We did it. The mansion is safe for now." Rian looked up at her. "Mom, we protected it. We really did." Myra smiled. "Yes, Rian, we protected it. But we must always be careful. The mansion has secrets, and some may try to take them. But we are ready. Together, we are strong." As evening approached, Mira decided to check the upper floors once more. They moved through the quiet hallways, inspecting doors and panels. Everything seemed normal, but Myra knew the mansion would always hold more secrets. She and Rian had learned to trust its warnings and its guidance taught in the guest room. Myra placed the small key from the hidden chamber inside a locked drawer. She wanted to ensure that nothing could be opened without careful thought. Rian helped her, understanding the importance of their task. Night came. The mansion was quiet, but Myra felt a presence, a feeling that the house was alive and aware of their courage. She held Rian close. "We faced the truth today," she whispered. "We learned about the mansion, its history, and the people who wanted to harm it. Now, we are the guardians. We will keep the secret safe, just like your aunt wanted." Rian smiled, feeling proud and safe. "Mom, I am ready. We can protect it together." Mira looked around the mansion. The tall windows, the dusty halls, the hidden room, soul of it was now part of their responsibility. The dark truth had been uncovered, but it had not destroyed them. Instead, it had made them stronger. The mansion had revealed its secrets, and Mira had faced them with courage. She realized that life was not just about surviving the storm, but about protecting what mattered, learning the past, and standing together with those she loved. Outside, the moon rose above the mansion, casting a silver light on the ivy-covered walls. Mira and Rian looked out the window, feeling the calm after the storm. The mansion was no longer just a building. It was alive with history, secrets, and courage. Myra whispered softly, "We will protect you, Hillcrest Mansion, and we will honor your history. No one will take your secrets. We are ready for whatever comes." Rian held her hand tightly. "We are ready, Mom." The mansion stood silent, strong, and proud. Its secrets were safe, and its guardians had been chosen wisely. The storm was over. The dark truth had been uncovered, and a new chapter began for Myra and Rian together. They had survived, learned, and protected the legacy of Hillcrest Mansion.